However, the big story on the show today, as we start off trading out, is actually not about the stocks that are rising, but the one that is falling and the one that is taking its peers down with it as well. Yes, the big story is this big fall that we're seeing on Polycab. We were seeing those circuits, when the stock first opened, it was a 10% down circuit, then a 20% down circuit, and then there's been some buying at the lowest levels of the day. So that's the big story. We're going to bring you a complete 360-degree perspective on this with our colleagues. We'll get an expert in on Polycab as well. But first, let's talk about what is the reason, why such a severe reaction to something that was known in the market. These IT searches, they happened towards the end of December. So why is the stock falling today? Well, it is falling because the IT department put out in writing yesterday a release without naming the company, but calling it searches on a wire and cables company. And it put out some scathing observations. In fact, if I could just read out some of the highlights, I've kind of broken this down into four key parts, four key allegations that the IT department is making, and basically the findings that they're saying they've made in their search operations. So the contention is that the company has been looking at, a tax evasion adopted by the group in connivance with some of its distributors. This includes indulging in unaccounted cash sales, payments for unaccounted purchases, non-genuine expenses with respect to transport, etc., and all for suppressing taxable income. So I'll come to the specific numbers that the IT department has highlighted, and that's why the market got really spooked. First, the IT department says the company has made unaccounted cash sales of around 1,000 crores, which have not been recorded in the books of accounts. Evidence of unaccounted cash payments of more than 400 crores made by a distributor on behalf of the company. Then the IT department goes on to say that there are non-genuine expenses. Now, many of these things will be argued or could be argued in court, so we don't know. But the IT department says these are non-genuine expenses in the nature of contracting expenses, transportation, etc., of 100 crores. And then they go on to talk about the distributor. The IT department also has a problem with one of the major distributors of Polycab. And it says that this distributor has been indulging in unexplained transactions for issuing bills without a genuine supply of goods or services. And all of this is aggregating to 500 crore rupees in the assessment of the IT department. Last but not the least, when they did these searches at various facilities of the company, they found unaccounted cash exceeding about 4 crores, and they've kind of seized 25 bank lockers as well. So that, in substance, is the severe nature of allegations in writing put out for public consumption by the income tax department. So let's straight away go across to our colleagues first to get an understanding of what all is at stake over here. Okay, I think we'll get to our colleagues in just a bit, but first we have a guest joining in on the story. Praveen Sahai, research analyst from Prabhudas Lilladher, is with us. Praveen, what do you make of this? As I said, this was not new. The market knew there were some IT searches going on, but I think the specifics in the press release yesterday have really spooked the street.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. So definitely there are some news in the the domain, but having said that, to comment on such kind of big allegations over the company, it's not justifying on my side to comment on, because we need to wait for a clear clarification from both sides, I can say, from the company side as well as the clear-cut findings of such IT rates. So I'll refrain from giving any statement because I don't have any facts on figures with me.
But is there a risk that, because they're talking about falsification of accounts too, is there a risk that the numbers which Polycab has been reporting, and it's been the undisputed market leader, it's been outperforming the market, will the street start questioning the revenue, the growth numbers that Polycab has put out? And just for reference, for instance, in the first half of the year, Polycab's top-line growth was 34%, far outperforming its peer like Havells, which went up 10%. Will we start questioning the P&L numbers too, based on this?
See, again, that these are just some premature findings, I can say, so far, because from the company side, clear clarification and the communication from the department happened and then after any outcome of such events happened. So to comment on such big allegations towards the company, unfair from my part, to give any clarification on that actually. But the things is also to highlight such kind of big events used to take their own, time frame for any conclusive outcome of such events actually.
Sure, sure. Now, Praveen,
my understanding is used to take around 3 months odd for a proper outcome and the communication.
no, absolutely, Praveen. I completely take that point on board because many a times, you don't know how this goes. It could be contested at the appellate level, at the tribunal level, or we don't know. The thing is, yesterday company issued a denial, but this press release came out after that in the evening. Anyway, I mean, and Polycab has had a staggering rise as well, right? This used to be a 1,000 rupee stock just when we were getting into the COVID period, and today it's a 4,000 rupee stock. And it has a lot of big institutional holders as well. And we'll, come out with the names in just a bit when we get our colleagues in on it. But, do you look at some of its other peers as well? Could this be an issue where this is the nature of the business? Is that even a possibility? Or do you think that the kind of allegations that are coming in, unaccounted sales, cash transactions, this is probably a company-specific situation that we're discussing?
So if you ask on industry side, so I don't see there will be a major, such kind of things are there in the industry because now the formalization and especially in the wire and cable, there is a large players as a come in place. There is a good growth from the end user industry going on, and who have the capacity in the place getting more benefit out of that, and so as excuse me. So as the Polycab, which has a huge capacity in the cable side, and they are getting a benefit out of that so far. So I just don't see any such kind of a things there in the industry as such, because the tailwind is industry tailwind is a very strong from end user industry, and these guys are getting a benefit out of that.
Praveen, what's your current rating on Polycab?
So currently we have an accumulate rating on Polycab, and also if you ask me the way forward, the top line growth CAGR from 23 to 24 is in the range of around 16 to 17 odd %. Okay. And also maintaining their higher margin profile.
Okay. So since you've been bullish on Polycab and that call has worked well for you barring the last fortnight, have you spoken to some of your clients who have invested based on your recommendation and own Polycab? What are they thinking?
It's a very difficult question what you had asked actually. So definitely such kind of events, nobody knows actually, Rima. So because these are just in a one press release or some media article, whereas the company has already clarified, the yesterday about all these. And while interacting to the industry experts also, I get to know that it's a long drawn process actually. It's not just in a 10 days, within 10 days, findings used to come in. It takes at least a minimum of 3 months to outcome to communication between the parties and the final, verdict come on. So I believe it's a premature for me to comment on such kind of
No, Praveen, I completely get that. It's just that when a stock has run up so much, there's very little room for error, right? Because the expectations are running very high. So on that, final question, just leave us with not just Polycab, but its peer set. I mean, if you have, I don't know if you cover RR Cable or KEI, etc. Just give us, your sense on current valuations, overall sector, and now Polycab after this fall. And today we're seeing buying on, certain other related stocks. Havells, for instance. See, a lot of these companies were a huge play on the big infrastructure thrust, the housing thrust that we're seeing, right? The real estate thrust that we're seeing in the country as well. So would there be any reason to look at a tactical shift? Would you at all even consider that at this point in time?
So the first is on the valuation side. Definitely this wire and cable companies, RR Cable, Polycab, KEI has a run up because of the delivery in the volume growth and the way forward the end user industry also expected to do well. And that's the reason why these stocks has got a re-rated. And currently, after the correction of the Polycab is trading at around 31 times of FY25 earning. And so as the RR Cable and the KEI also a little bit corrected. And so as their valuation has also shrunk from, I can say, the RR Cable used to trade prior to the correction around 37, 38 times. The now it's again in the range of around 32 times of a 25 earning. KEI has also, from the 42 times of FY25 corrected to around 37, 38 times. So there definitely with the correction, there is some correction in the derating has also happened in such kind of a stock with such event. Second question is related to the Havells, and in my view, especially for the B2C play the way forward in the last 1.5 years, 2 years, if you look at the B2C has not performed, and especially to the Havells, if you look at their capacity building in the cable, and that will come in next financial year, as well as their ECD portfolio, which has not done in the last 3 quarters. Then again, with the seasonality that's expected with the new product launches and very aggressive on the advertisement, the ECD portfolio is expected to do well in the coming years. As well as another big, contributor to their top line is Lloyd, which is also doing very well with the South plant operation. So there the growth rate is also improved significantly, and expectation is to losses related to the Lloyd is expected to minimize with some logistical benefit, as well as the RAC industry itself is expected to grow at a 12-13% CAGR in the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay, Praveen, just stay on. We'll take a final comment with you in terms of advice to people in the market right now.
That Praveen, a quick question on the divergence in the domestic mutual fund and the FII action in Polycab. Now, you speak to both the parties, the domestic institutions and even to foreign investors. What explains this dichotomy in approach?
Say again, the same thing I can say. That's I'll definitely refrain from, giving.
No, we're not asking you on their reaction over the last few days. We're asking over a 2-year period, as Hormus was pointing out, the domestic institutional investors have been bringing their stake down in Polycab despite the stock doing so well, despite, the financials looking up. While the FIIs have been increasing their stake for the last 5 or 6 consecutive quarters. So over the last 2 years, can you explain what was the thinking behind this, moves that we've seen, these trends?
Yes. So if you look at for a Polycab is a very good proxy to the infrastructure play in this country. And in the last couple of years also, they had outperformed the entire sector. If you look at the durable sector as a overall, they had outperformed in terms of a growth. And also the tailwind for the industry is a very strong the way forward. There is a visibility in terms of the capacities in the Polycab, as well as demand from the infrastructure side is huge. So the way forward, the extra high voltage cables demand, which is expected to come from the 25 end and the 26 onwards, and they are putting up the capacity to cater to such kind of a growth. So this is story to continue, and what the expectation related to the industry is the volume growth, what they have delivered in the past 2 years, the visibility is quite clear. And that is the reason why also the FII holding in such stocks has improved. Also, there is an index inclusion happened. That is another reason why the FII holdings has increased in that. And I believe that is the only reason their outperformance to the durable sector and the visibility for the growth is one of the major reason for such kind of the action by the FIIs.
Quickly, any reason for DII sparing their stake?
So it's like of a one concern I can say is related to the valuation. Being in the B2B play, it's on the higher, used to be at the higher side of 40 times. So that's one of the key concern, and maybe that is the reason. But I don't see that as a concern, because so far the volume growth and the growth in the probability is coming in. That's justify your valuation.
Thank you for joining in. Get into a break on